Hello everyone, welcome to my presentation on the three domains of learning theory. This theory provides valuable insights as to how individuals acquire knowledge and skills. Educators recognize that students learn in different ways, requiring them to establish teaching methods that emphasize each student's distinctive strengths. These concepts have influenced the field of education by encouraging a more holistic approach to learning. In this topic, let us answer the following questions. Who is the proponent of the three domains of learning theory? What are the three domains of learning theory? What are the benefits of this learning theory? And how can you apply this theory in your organization? One of the most influential categorization of learning is based on the three domains proposed by Benjamin Bloom. Benjamin S. Bloom was an American educational psychologist and researcher. In 1956, he created the domains of learning. He is best known for his work on educational taxonomy and the development of Bloom's taxonomy. What is Bloom's taxonomy? A taxonomy is a system of classification that involves naming, describing, and categorizing different components. The name Bloom belongs to educational psychologist Benjamin Bloom, who proposed the learning taxonomy in the 1950s while working at the University of Chicago. And so, Bloom's taxonomy refers to a classification of the various objectives and skills educators or training leaders set for their students or learners. The taxonomy involves different levels of learning Bloom believed represented the natural flow of learning, understanding and applying information to real life. Bloom's taxonomy provided a framework to classify educational objectives and has been widely used in the field of education. So let's take a look at the three domains of learning. These are the cognitive, affective, and the psychomotor domain. As humans, we are lifelong learners. We begin learning at birth and continue learning all throughout our lives. As we have experiences, we continue to assimilate new information into what we already know. Learning, however, is not just a cognitive function. We can also learn attitudes, behaviors, and physical skills. These three categories create the three domains of learning. So these are the cognitive, knowledge, psychomotor skills, and affective attitudes. The cognitive domain involves thinking and experiencing information. The affective domain invokes emotion and feeling in the learned knowledge, and the psychomotor domain includes physical movement or practical application of knowledge. So let's take a look at the cognitive domain. It involves knowledge and development of intellectual skills, includes the recall or recognition of specific facts and concepts that serve developing intellectual abilities and skills. So the cognitive domain focuses on 6 intellectual skills that educational psychologist Benjamin Bloom organized based on the sequence in which students develop them. This concept is known as Bloom's taxonomy. For each skill, Bloom refers to active verbs that describe how students apply what they've learned. The original Bloom's taxonomy includes the following skills that build from the most basic to the most complex: knowledge, recalling or recognizing information previously learned. Number 2, comprehension, comprehending or interpreting information based on material previously learned. Number 3, application, selecting and using data principles to fix a problem independently. Analysis, understanding or breaking down assumptions made by a statement or question to make conclusions. Synthesis, combining ideas to build a new concept or plan. And evaluation, making assessments based on established criteria. In 2001, one of Bloom's former students and colleagues revised the taxonomy to reflect its use in modern school settings. So these are the revisions. The revised version changes the names of each of the 6 levels. The levels have also changed from nouns to verbs, and they also swapped the position of the last 2 components. So the new version now is as follows. Remembering, formerly knowledge, understanding, formerly comprehension, applying, formerly application, analyzing, formerly analysis, evaluating, formerly evaluation, and creating, formerly synthesis. Okay, so on the left, this is the old version of the Bloom's taxonomy, and on the right, this is the new version of the Bloom's taxonomy. Although the level of learning have been modified, the basic framework remains the same. Next is the affective domain. The affective domain of learning represents skills that foster appropriate emotional responses. In this domain, identified by Bloom's colleague David Crathwell, and students understand and develop their feelings, attitudes, and values. Like the cognitive domain, the 5 areas of emotional response, from simple to complex, include number 1, receiving. Involves a passive awareness of emotions and feelings, and a student must succeed at this level to learn at later stages. For example, a student at this stage waits to speak until someone else finishes speaking. Responding, a student actively engages in the learning process by receiving it and reacting to it. For example, a student participates in a class discussion of a book they read. Number 3 is valuing. A student values a concept when they express its worth or what it means to them. For example, a student may write an opinion article about a social topic they feel strongly about, discussing and defending their stance. Next is organizing. A student develops a value system by arranging their values or beliefs in order of priority. For example, a student trying to make honor roll realizes they should prioritize studying for an upcoming test over going to movies with friends. Characterizing. A student acts according to the values they have developed and internalized as a personal philosophy. For example, a student accepts that cheating is unethical and completes a difficult assignment independently even though a friend offers to let them copy their answers. Next is the psychomotor domain. This refers to the use of basic motor skills, coordination, and physical movement. Development of these skills requires practice and is measured in terms of speed, precision, distance, procedures, or techniques in execution. comprised of utilizing motor skills and coordinating them. Bloom identified the psychomotor skills domain, and educators like Elizabeth Simpson expanded them into a simple to complex order in the 1970s. The psychomotor domain focuses on physical skills such as the development of hand-eye coordination and the use of motor skills. Psychomotor skills help people perform physical tasks in daily life and at work. The areas of this domain include, for Harrow 1972, number 1 is reflex movements, 2 fundamental movements, number 3 is perceptual abilities, next physical abilities, 5 is skilled movements, and the last non-discursive communication. For Simpson, the areas of this domain include the following. Number 1 is perception. Students use sensory cues to guide their motor activities. For example, a student may listen to a teacher's lesson and write down corresponding notes. Number 2 is set. Students feel ready to act upon challenges and resolve them. For example, a student who wants to improve their grade is motivated to study for their next test. Number 3 is guided response. Students begin learning complex skills, often through trial and error or following instructions. For example, a student learns how to build a simple circuit by watching an instructional video. Next is mechanism. Students develop basic proficiency when performing particular tasks, often through practice. For example, a piano student feels confident playing a song assigned by their teacher after weeks of practicing. Next, complex overt response. Students learn to perform a task with advanced proficiency. For example, a piano student knows how to play a song without needing to look at the keys. Next is adaptation. Students have developed their skills and can change them to meet specific requirements. For example, a culinary student knows how to adjust their recipe to meet particular dietary restrictions. Origination. Students learn how to develop a new skill using principles learned while gaining the original skills. For example, a student who has taken ballet classes choreographs a dance for a recital. Next, we have the benefits of Bloom's taxonomy. Bloom's taxonomy is applied in learning environments because it is believed to encourage higher order thought in learners by building up from lower level cognitive skills. In other words, the taxonomy is meant to teach learners how to receive, comprehend, and apply knowledge so that they are better equipped to process information and make more complex decisions. There are many positive implications of applying Bloom's taxonomy in learning environments. Many educators believe that, at a high level, Bloom's taxonomy sets a universal standard for learning from primary school to continuing education. Encourage learners to think, reflect, and apply new knowledge. Helps instructors create more effective agendas and coursework. So how can we apply Bloom's taxonomy in the workplace? On an individual level, Bloom's taxonomy can guide you through the development process, from learning new skill all the way to putting it in action in your role. Imagine you attend the course Create and Manage an Excel Database. Afterward, you realize that your newfound knowledge of database management could help create a new system for reporting workplace safety incidents at your organization. You could apply the 6 levels of learning like this. Remember, after you completed a course, you remembered the information you learned about Excel database management. Understand, you identified that Excel databases can organize and summarize data for both high-level information and in-depth reporting. Apply. You then demonstrated the advanced features of an Excel database, such as utilizing Power Queries to link data across spreadsheet tables. Okay, next is analyze. You compared the many features of Excel to the needs of the organization and concluded that Excel database could be used to create workplace safety reports. Evaluate. You then assess the ways in which an Excel database could help streamline safety initiatives by accurately reporting workplace injuries and exposing where more safety training is required. Then create. You then created an Excel database to track, report, and examine workplace safety incidents in your organization. Okay, how can you apply Bloom's taxonomy in your workplace, particularly in an employee training program? So here's how you can easily apply Bloom's taxonomy to your employee training program. Use the action verbs when writing your training objectives. When writing your learning objectives, incorporate relevant action verbs to ensure your employees are learning, understanding, and retaining important information. Example: the teachers will be able to define the 4 stages of ICT integration in their lesson. Number 2, apply Bloom's style questions to help learners make connections. If you think employees need help drawing connections between their training and their job functions, ask them questions related to the learning levels to help foster deeper thinking. Example: this project roadmap includes frequent in-person collaboration. How will that apply to the remote employees involved? Next, reference the taxonomy to help differentiate training. Use the 6 learning levels to identify knowledge gaps for individual employees or departments. These knowledge gaps will uncover the training topics that may need more focus. Example: the junior level accountants need more payroll compliance training so they can confidently recall state and federal law requirements and assess potential problems such as miscalculated hours and misclassifying employees. These are the considerations in using the Bloom's taxonomy. Although Bloom's taxonomy has been regarded as the universal standard for teaching and learning, you should consider its shortcomings before attempting to apply the levels to your training program verbatim. Educational theorists have identified 2 key issues with applying Bloom's taxonomy exactly as is. The levels, though presented hierarchically, can be rearranged depending on individual learning needs. The taxonomy's learning levels seems artificial. Labeling cognitive processes into cut and dry categories undermines the true nature of cognition. So these are the key takeaways in this topic. Your training initiatives may not always fit perfectly into each level of Bloom's taxonomy, and that's fine. The taxonomy serves as a framework for learning information and utilizing it in the workplace. Bloom's taxonomy is an effective learning tool because you can refer to it as much or as little as you see fit. If your employees are struggling to apply their skills on the job, you can simply guide them through the levels of learning. As a manager, lead with empathy and appreciation for your team. Stay open-minded and seek continuous learning, and take decisive action while fostering collaboration. This unique blend creates a cohesive, resilient, and successful organization where everyone is inspired to contribute their best, leading to growth and prosperity. So these are my references. Thank you for watching. God bless.